Hello everyone and welcome to another video. How is everyone doing and how's the start of your week? Well, for today's video we're playing normal games because sadly we got banned and I already won 2 of 3, this is the third one. If you are wondering why, because we said the F word and the N word. Don't get me wrong, the N word stands for noobs. Since we are still on our journey to find a suitable replacement for Volibear in case he's banned, I tested this Nunu in this game. Back when there was an item called Twin Shadows, I used to play it alongside Banner of Command and Zizrot Portal because Blood Boil used to be used on minions. But since those items were removed and the champion got a major rework, I stopped playing this champion at all. Now that we have a solid build with the current meta items, let's give this champion a chance. Most of our plays will focus on mid lane and top lane, mainly because it's difficult to impact the bot side with Anivia as the support. Now for our strategy, we'll be doing a 1 camp into 1 gank. The odds may seem illogical, but for each gank, you should aim to secure a kill. This pick is a high-paced jungler that thrives on getting ahead, which is why many players opt for an AP build instead of tank. In this game, we lack the tools to handle champions like Jax effectively, so the only viable solution is to play safely around objectives and aggressively into ganks. As you may notice, the element of surprise provides significant benefits. If you fully stack your ball and rush into a lane, the enemy will have little time to react. However, if you get caught first, you'll be in a bad situation, which is why I believe Aftershock is suitable against champions like Jax or others who can jump on you first. Given the current situation, our best move is to shut down either the top or mid lane early, securing kills to establish stronger prio. Against Aatrox, positioning is crucial, as his heal improves the more enemies he hits with his spells. While against Jax, he scales harder than Nunu in most scenarios, making it essential to try to end the game as fast as possible. That said, making assumptions about high-scaling champions can be an overstatement because their effectiveness often depends on the player's skill and decision-making. Well, my plan was to make Darius so ahead that he would be able to do the 1v2 against Jax and Aatrox, because Lux and Syndra are both immobile champions that keep throwing stuff at each other. Regarding the synergy in this game, for either me and Jax, we don't have any form of synergy with our teams, so this will most likely be an individual performance game, based on decision-making, and who gets their itemization first. The funny thing in this game is that if you pick an immobile champion, you're practically asking to get ganked and most likely camp the whole game. This Syndra is already showing so many signs of tilting that I'm sure she'll be mauling before the end of the game. But this is only possible because we have an aggressive jungler like Nunu. So far, we're maintaining a good ratio. Every camp leads to a gank, and every gank results in either a kill or a flash. Now that our top laner is strong enough to be a big boy, it's time to shift attention from the top side to the bot side. And since I am trying to turn also Lux into a viable carry after the mid-game, we've ganked this poor Syndra so many times that I'm starting to feel sorry for her. I guess she can't handle the size of the ball, and the trick is to angle the gank behind them, not in front of them, so that if they try to escape, they'll be forced to intercept the fully charged snowball or run towards your other allies. Another thing is that you can help your lane push effectively. If you position properly, you can keep the snowball rolling over the wave until you clear the whole wave with about 2 spins. Lastly, I believe the level of tilt is far higher than anticipated. This Syndra is so tilted that I'm convinced she'll rage quit. So far, I believe I've did out about 5 ganks, and all of them were kills, except for 1 on mid lane. And I believe our mission was successful. This Syndra is now beyond saving. She just used her teleport to try and get a kill, but sadly, she will be dead again. The other thing is that once Syndra uses her crowd control abilities, she's hopeless. I'm confident she'll take the full damage from our ultimate, and we're relying on that because we're going for a tanky build. We don't have much damage to kill anyone on the enemy team. Now, in this specific game, you might wonder why I didn't gank bot side from the start. It's because I know that against Anivia, it's almost impossible to land the gank with Nunu. The fact that she can create a wall out of thin air will most likely make us look like noobs with each gank. Now that we've established a stronger presence on the top side, it's time to focus on putting our bot lane and mid lane on the same level. To do that, we need to gank mid lane, then relieve Lux from her lane so she can roam with us around the Drake. We can also pressure both sides, and potentially catch the enemy jungler if we catch him doing his camps. Well, the only other possible solution is to catch bot lane off guard, and the plan I have in mind is to gank them while they're starting a fight. It's not all that hard, but most likely the enemy won't expect it. So far, the game is going entirely in our favor, and that's mainly due to a huge jungle difference, not because we are smarter or better individually, but because our champion is designed to gank so effectively with minimal skill. In other words, Nunu is a fun champion for new players, and a suitable replacement for Volibear when he's banned or picked. Now, to make life even more interesting, our top laner, The player we've invested so much time into putting ahead has disconnected. And regarding this game, it might seem like a normal game in League of Legends, but since we are banned, we need to win 3 games to lift the ban. Hence, I believe winning this game is more important than ranked itself, because if we don't win, we'll be stuck playing normal games with or against troll players. So the situation is this. We've invested the early game around the top lane, and now the top laner is disconnected. To top it off, I can't type in chat, so this game will be the ultimate test of Nunu Jungle and its potential to carry a game in a 4 versus 5 situation with no possible communication with our allies. We're also going for the tanky, not the AP build, against a super scaling enemy composition with Anivia, Jax, and Syndra. Plus, we don't have any pushing champions, except for Lux. I believe if we win this game in a 4 versus 5 situation, I might consider Nunu as the future right hand of Volibear, and might revamp my old main. Regarding our build, this is the original Volibear build. Same items, same purpose. The only change is that instead of Frozen Heart, we'll be going for Unending Despair. The reason for this is that, unlike Volibear, Nunu benefits from the heal with each bite and on any target. This adjustment puts us in a safer situation compared to Volibear, because while Volibear needs some amped up damage for meaningful impact and keep chasing that target with the mark, Nunu naturally heals on command with any target in the fight. On top of that, both Volibear and Nunu are simple champions in design, allowing you to enjoy the game while focusing on fully utilizing their strengths. Unlike champions with complex mechanics and combos, where a single mistake can cost you the game, these straightforward champions rely on strategy and decision-making. In situations like this, where we have a disconnected player and the enemy is already planning to end the game, the outcome depends entirely on our decision-making, itemizations, and how we capitalize on enemy mistakes to create winning opportunities, even under impossible conditions. Luckily, if you are playing with humans, there are subtle ways to influence your team into following your lead. For example, you can create a habit where your team sees immediate rewards, gold, kills, or objectives when they follow your calls. Over time, they begin to trust your decisions, a concept similar to the Pavlov effect. Whenever you engage, they instinctively follow, knowing it will lead to success. However, for this to work, your early game calls must be impeccable. If they fail, you lose credibility, and the team may stop responding entirely. Sometimes, this backfires, and the enemy team ends up making separate independent calls while your decisions are totally thrown in the garbage. In this situation though, I knew 2 things for certain. I couldn't die, and I didn't have enough damage to kill anyone on the enemy team on my own. So, the only way to guide my allies was to lock someone down and hoping the damage will follow later on. After much back and forth, we are finally starting to build a stronger bond with our allies. Based on my experience, I've identified that the jungle is the best location for us to fight. We have the range, the traps, and the damage, while the enemy team, though capable of significant damage, lacks mobility and range. Luckily, we are going for the undying Volibear build against Jax and Aatrox. While it might seem like they're constantly trying to kill me, in reality, they are giving me the sustain I need. They stay within melee range, which allows me to deal consistent damage while vamping their backline DPS. Initially, I considered opting for support items as my 3rd and 4th choices on Nunu. However, in this specific game, I realized that path might cost us the late game because we tend to fall off hard and would become overly reliant on our allies. Therefore, my plan is to focus on relying solely on my champion's strengths, absorbing enough damage and providing peel for the team. We finally made it to the Baron buff. The funny part is that our top laner is still disconnected. Judging by his name, Zachariah, he's likely an Arabic player suffering from either a power outage or a connection issue, both common issues in many Arabic countries with their shitty, unreliable service providers. You might have noticed that I am frequently starting fights around the mid lane entrance into the jungle. This spot is perfect for Caitlyn since it allows us to cover 2 entry points with traps while controlling the area efficiently. At this point, our main carry has shifted from Caitlyn to Lux, because her burst damage is crucial in securing kills 1 target at a time. Unfortunately, we lack any significant crowd control to lock multiple enemies down, but our approach, while unconventional, is genuinely enjoyable. We're focusing on catching someone from the enemy team with our snowball while keeping them away from our carries. The enemy team lacks the damage to kill us instantly because, unlike Volibear, Nunu's healing is consistent and on point. Volibear's bite requires marking a target first, which means losing the mark, due to flash or disengage, also loses the healing potential. However, with Nunu, biting anyone within range immediately restores HP, making him far more reliable in sustained fights. Additionally, the healing scales with our max HP, which synergizes beautifully with the tanky build we're running. And yes, we are still in the 4v5 situation, and no matter how hard we try, we're winning the fights but losing the game because we lack the ability to push effectively. Shockingly, the enemy team hasn't realized this yet. Instead of focusing on objectives, they're responding to every fight we start. This is likely because I'm relentlessly engaging on them, keeping them distracted. And finally, after 30 minutes of gameplay, we managed to sync up as one cohesive unit, even with one disconnected player, to execute the perfect Mr. Clean commercial moment, wiping out the enemy team in one fell swoop at the jungle entrance. Finally, the prodigal son is back. This will be my first attempt at catching someone with Nunu's ultimate. I didn't go for this play earlier because we were already at a disadvantage with one disconnected player. Since we don't have level 3 ultimate, Lux was there to compensate for the lack of damage. And here we are with another Baron buff. Even though Darius is back, he's so far behind that anyone, and he will most likely get two-shotted on sight. But it seems the enemy team has transcended from being tilted to a whole new level. Well, my dear viewers, I believe the enemy team couldn't handle this embarrassing situation, and they'll most likely surrender in the next few seconds. This is the last play of the game. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and drop a like. I'm really satisfied with Nunu's performance, and you can expect more games with this simple yet fun champion design. Until the next video, take care everyone, and peace.